Friday, they had some fun, but they were looking like not having fun. I tell you what, defensively, how often did you see last night that man Pappenhausen with the peroxide hair, which I love, by the way, those tries in the corner, they're defending Pappenhausen in a different manner. He was there almost every time.
Yeah, so what he does is they've got a non-negotiable Melbourne Storm, and they've had it for years. No one goes through us, inside shoulders, make strong decisions. So the centre and winger on whenever they sense danger, they'll go. Munster sweeps in behind, and then if required, and most of the time, Pappenhausen will also get straight to the sideline. Yeah,
that's right. So he is leading the charge, and if you keep an eye on Munster, if Munster has not covered him, I think the banana kick's on. Because he gets such a head start, Pappenhausen. And you'll see this when you watch the replay. You'll see that every time there's a try in the corner, Pappenhausen is more there than other fullbacks would be there because he gets a huge head start, is what you're saying.
Yep. So what they're doing, because they're making really strong decisions on the edges, when the centre and wing goes hard, there's no doubt at all. So, if you watch any other fullbacks, they sweep behind the line and they follow the ball.
Yes.
So as they're following the ball, because if they don't have the same defensive structure, then there is a chance that someone might not wedge or a player could take a show.
Yep.
Because that's not allowed at Melbourne, it allows Pappy to just go straight to the wing, because if they are going to score, that's where they're going to score on the sideline. So you see Pappy come across. There was a time where I think it was on the first or second, I think it was the first Alamotti try, where Munster had actually got there in time for Tungle, but Pappy was just a little bit unsure of whether he was going to make the tackle, and Munster looked up at him. Sort of just second. It was actually really nice from Tungle because he stutter steps for a little bit, looked like he was going to tuck it under his arm, and then gets it out the last minute. It ended up being a really good play. But that's why it's the beauty of the Melbourne Storm. Like, as a fan, I can sit there and watch that. But that's drilled into him every training session.
Yep.
So Pappy knows I don't have to sit there and sit behind the ball like every other fullback does and potentially watch out for a hole in and around the 3 and 4 man, because that's not allowed. We don't allow that. So I'm going straight for the sideline. But then you're right, Sugar. If you get if another team has a pattern and you're able to identify it, why not? Throw a little kickback. You need a really talented centre too, by the way, to be able to pull that off. But that could be a play to sort of break down the Melbourne Storm a little bit.
Well, we've shared this on air. In fact, we spoke to Kevy Walters about it on air last year around how you can get the Melbourne Storm. So this is, the Penrith Panthers, because they defend that fullback on the short side. If you get him anywhere near the play of the ball, quick shift for a kick, which is what Melbourne did to
Jenkins last night.
For Pappenhausen. And I say this all the time, and I'm not suggesting this is what should happen, Scope, but everyone says, how come the same teams keep winning and, this salary cap, and it's not working because the same teams keep winning. If you truly want the salary cap to be more effective, and I've said this 1,000 times, you would have to have the head coach's salary in the salary cap.
Yeah.
Because that is the obvious difference. These comps cannot be fluked anymore. You got to have a superstar coach, because you've got to beat 3 or 4 of them. You got Trent Robbo, you got Madge, Bennett's out there, you got Bellamy, there's too many gun coaches that they cannot be fluked.
Imagine after all the players that Penrith have lost over the years, if they were unable to squeeze Ivan Cleary into their salary cap, so they'd lose Ivan. I think that'd be a shame, wouldn't it? After all the development that you've done?
No, I'm not supportive of it, but I'm just saying that so long as
you think it would even out the comp more, though. That's your point.
For example, what would Ivan Cleary be on the open market as a coach? He'd be a couple of million, wouldn't he?
Who Ivan Cleary on the open market? 2 mil. Yeah. I think a couple of teams would love to pay 2 mil for Ivan.
That's right. So if Penrith had to pay him inside the cap.
What do you think coaches get paid, Sugar? What do you reckon the top ones are on? I've never thought about that before.
Yeah, I think Bellamy's around the 2. That's a male.
Okay.
But if they were included in the cap, that number would come down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is a soft cap for that. But because
money well spent too with Bellamy and Ivan and Wayne and Madge is a little bit more unproven as in the sense like it's been a long time at club level that we've seen it. But, you can take in consideration what he's done at Origin and International for sure. Yeah, it's good money.
Mate, there's different sports, right, where
they deserve all of it too, by the way.
Where the coach to player ratio for the influence on the game is different. And I think so cricket, for example, I don't see the coaching as important as, say, a rugby league coach or an NFL coach.
Really?
Would you agree with that or not?
No, well, I don't know the game well enough to be. I'd imagine there must be parts of cricket that I'm not aware of, whether it be fielding,
well, that's probably
whether it be
naive from me.
lineups. Yeah, I'm not. I couldn't have a strong answer on that.
Yeah, maybe it's naive from me. Anyway, feel free to slap me for that, folks. 1300 01 1170 or text 0457 736 736. I had family over last night, so it was a 20-year anniversary, Scopey, my wife and I yesterday.
Congratulations, mate.
We just sat around and had the kids around. It was a nice, cool night, snugged up on the lounge, and that was wonderful, having a nice meal. So I wasn't watching the football as closely as I ordinarily would.
Yep. Who
were your sort of Dally M points, if you like?
Oh, Dally M points. It was a weird one last night. Melbourne started really well.
Yep.
Got complacent after the Nathan injury. A huge moment. I love him to death. Dally M Player of the Year. 14-0. The Melbourne Storm are winning. Jerome Hughes goes for a 40-20. You'd say it's a 40-20. Gets it wrong, out on the full. And Penrith Panthers just went on a run after that. Gave them a sniff. They weren't really in the game. For the Panthers, I thought Stefano's first stint was really good. He showed signs of what he's capable of down there at Melbourne. Munster had some really nice touches. But then again, typical Munster back end of the game, him and Liam Martin having a little crack at each other. He's even said after the game he'd love to have a couple of those moments back. I don't think he's in any trouble for the hip drop. Jerome Hughes,
I don't think so either, actually.
No, because he hits the deck first and then it sort of slides in. Jerome was okay. Pappy was okay. No, I'm liking the look of Jack Howarth this year.
Yeah.
I think Jack Howarth's in for a big year. This is just starting on the Melbourne Storm team because I want to get to the Panthers. I thought the Panthers were really impressive.
Oh, wow.
What they were able to deal with. No Dylan Edwards. Nathan Cleary goes down, and that was a very scary incident there for a little bit.
What about him and Jerome Hughes?
Yeah.
They collide at the time.
I thought it was a head clash to begin with. And I'm happy for, obviously, Jerome because, it wasn't that. He looked like he copped a really big blow to the stomach. Nathan's hit didn't look that great at all. And I wouldn't be surprised. He looked groggy for about 25 to 30 seconds. There was real concern from Isaiah Yeo, so I'm thinking they may edge on the side of caution. I know that they've got the guaranteed 11-day stand down for those sorts of head knocks, but yeah, I'd be a little bit easy with Nathan because that didn't look great at all.
Yeah, news coming through too. Jerome Hughes set to have an operation on his hand. So already we are into round 3 of the Premiership and things getting a little hard. Talk about, continue with this because I've got a lot of your texts about last night's game. And let's go to Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy, who had this to say on the Nathan Cleary injury.
It's a bit of a relief to see him go off type thing. Like he's that good a player and he's that influential in their team. So like I say, it's. I suppose it's hard, when we had that good start, and then he goes off, and as I said, I think some of the players, probably, thought, well, like I said, I don't think they specifically want to think that, but in the back of your mind, you're fighting that voice is telling you, it's going to be okay today, But as I said, they're a really professional team and they know how to win, so you just can't do that with them.
Yep, great respect. Great respect there from Craig Bellamy on the Penrith Panthers. Harry Grant on coming up against 2 rookie halves, so he ends up taking on Jack Cole and Blaze Talangi. Here's what Harry had to say.
Yeah, I guess you could say that's maybe where a little bit of the complacency came from, but I think they did a good job where they got themselves back in the game and we had a few moments we would have liked back, and that just sort of swung momentum. And then they're such a quality team, not just 13, but a quality squad and quality organisation that they know how to keep a hold of that, and that's what they did there.
Gee, it's a long year, isn't it? Like, what a tough job for these players and coaches, Scope.
It's such a confrontational game, rugby league, and like Melbourne looked cherry ripe. They looked ready to go for the first 15 minutes. As soon as Nathan went down, they dropped the shoulders a little bit. And then I thought the Penrith Panthers players, especially some of the younger guys, they looked a bit hesitant into the contest. Then they're playing with house money. I thought Jack Cole did a really good job with Nathan being off. I thought Thomas Jenkins was really good. He was out of position a couple of times on the kicks, which is understandable. I don't think he'd played any fullback at all. But in terms of attacking the ball when he was needed to be, not really coming up with many errors with regards to sort of getting in that first receiver role down short side sometimes, which Dylan Edwards does. And a couple of big performances off the bench from, this is outside of the guys that you expect in Isaiah Yeo and Mitch Kenny, Leota and all them. I thought Liam Henry and Isaiah Papali'i really gave them a lift off the bench as well. I thought those two guys were really good when they started to get the ascendancy and put some pressure on Melbourne, and Melbourne started to get a little bit frustrated because, they started the game well. Nathan goes off, and then expectations sort of creep in, and you think, all right, now we're just going to go on with the job. Like, these guys got beaten by the Roosters last week. They've lost Dylan Edwards. Now they've lost Nathan Cleary, and not the case. This is a championship team, and a couple of younger boys really stood up